Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, coming at you from smoky New Jersey today. We got some wildfires coming down here from the far north, Canada, coming down and getting it a little bit smoggy around here. But other than that, beautiful day at the Jersey Shore. Coming to you once again with some awesome information today. So today we're going to kind of deviate a little bit off of the rules shows that we've been doing the last couple of days. And I have with me Mr. Michael Perrion. Am I saying the last name right, Mike?
You got it.
All right. Mike's joining us today from all the way out in South Dakota. So, Michael, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, doing good, doing good. It's a nice sunny day here. Don't have the smoke issue like you've got, but it's a nice July, beautiful afternoon, and just kind of getting ready to ramp up and talking football with other football officials and getting ready for another exciting season here in 2026.
Awesome. Same thing. I just worked a 7-on-7 this past weekend and got some scrimmages on the horizon. So we're just about there. And so that actually leads us into our main topic of our conversation today. With the season approaching really quick, equipment. Equipment is always on the minds of football officials, even though we forget about it. And then we take our shirt out of the closet and we're like, oh, goodness, I need a new shirt. Or you plug in your headsets and you find out that the battery doesn't work anymore, or the headset itself is not working, or your flag just looks like a wet noodle or something like that. So all of a sudden we're jumping on these different sites trying to find some equipment. Well, Michael is joining us from RefShop.us. And I'm excited to announce Michael and I are kind of teaming up here. So, Michael, I'll let you kind of take over there. Tell us a little bit about RefShop.
Yeah, so the ref shop just kind of is something that started out evolving from different things. One of the things I'm on my career, I'm kind of known as the guy who has the tools, right? Like I'm the guy who's got two pairs of shoes at every game and all the stuff, and so I always like to have. I always feel like you can't do the right job if you don't have the right tools. And I look back, it was almost 15 years ago when people were starting to talk about radios and how how do you make them work? What brands do you buy and all the things. And I actually pulled out the first headset that I had bought back in the day with the Midland radio, and it's some of what some people still use. But you got the little clip mic that you clip here, and the small little security style earpiece, and um, there was always that thought in the back of my head, like, oh, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something better that we can use. Used to see as they adopted them on Saturdays and Sundays. They got the big push button and all that, and those radio systems are very expensive, and so just trying to find like, God, there's got to be a better way, right? And so um, started out with trying to find ways to develop a different headset, and what kind of came out of that was this style, what I call the tactical style headset. And, um, it started out with the boom mic and it has an actual speaker on the outside, as opposed to the earbud style. But then some people were wanting the earbud style. So then we ended up designing one like that, but also has the big push to talk button on it. But this is kind of the brainchild of how it all started. And when I got these designed, it was like, okay, well, you know, now what do I do with it? Right? Like how do I market it, or how do I start, getting the word out or whatever? And it was like, okay, well, you see a lot of these people who have side gigs that start out, making stuff they put on Etsy or whatever. So I just started an online store and just kind of started putting the pieces together, and it's kind of evolved into more things. It was like, okay, well, we do that. So now what's the next thing, right? Like what's the next thing? So if somebody's looking for another piece in their tool belt that that we can offer that, or that I can offer that. And so I ended up getting becoming a dealer for Smitty, which has been a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Most, there's Smitty's a well reputable brand, and they've been really great with trying to support getting me going, and so that's worked out really well. And there's different associations have different agreements, so some things you can't offer and some things you can, but for the most part, if you ask, they'll let you do it. So I've got different things for specific state associations as well, but it's just kind of kept evolving from one thing to the next thing. And this year I was really excited to be able to offer the Reading study guides. I went back, and this study guide right here this is my first one that I ever got in 2016. And I've been buying them every year. And you know, I wanted to be able to offer them because it's something that's important to me. That's a part of my tool belt. And again, like trying to find another opportunity to offer those available for other people who are looking for them. And so um, there's just, I don't know. I've always had a little bit of entrepreneur in my family. It's kind of running in our blood, and not, kind of like, oh, let's try this for side gigs, kind of thing. And I work in a K-12 school, so I have my regular day job, but it's just been something that's been fun to really find ways for officials, for me as an active official, high school and college active official, to find ways to help other people get what they need, for their game, but also like building the relationships, right? Like having this conversation and people that I would never have gotten to meet before, and
Mm-hmm.
and you get to hear, you get to email, hey, thanks for that or whatever, or this is the first year I'm going to be reffing with my son, and we're looking for a full kit or whatever, and so some of that's really cool for me too, and just the whole thing, right? Like it's just part of the cycle of me, like I said, trying to find ways to help other officials, but also you know how can I help contribute and get officials to work the best that they can. I think if you look good and you have stuff that works and is dependable, then that's just one less thing you have to worry about, and you can go out and do your thing. So that's really
100%.
what it's about more than anything for me.
So when I was a cadet, my first year, when I was just going through the class before we even got onto the field, one of the senior officials in my association came into the cadet class, and he was a former West Point graduate. So to put it out there just like that, he was always dressed to the nines, everything ironed perfectly, everything polished perfectly, and he put into us about how important it is. And as I started working some of the younger games and stuff like that, showing up, I from coaching for so long, I never realized just how much that first impression that we make as we walk out onto the field with those coaches and with those players does. It has a major impact on them. So if they see us walking out wearing ratty clothes, wearing with our belt buckle unbuckled, with our equipment looking all disheveled, that's probably the kind of game you're going to get. And I never realized just how important that stuff was. So it's a little thing, but it is something that does, I think, in my opinion, make a big difference. And you mentioned it. I mean, when you look good, you feel good. There's the old adage with that: look good, feel good. Well, if you look good, you're typically going to be having a better game. And even when you do make the mistakes, even when you do have the bad game, going over and then to have to conference with the coach and talk with the coach. If you walk over and you look ragtag, you're probably not going to get the same respect as if you walk over and you're looking professional. And that's what your shop is offering to not only football officials, but you have multiple sports on there, correct?
Yep, we got multiple sports. Again, anything Smitty related, I can pretty much get a hold of. So the whole baseball kit, from shirts and pants, volleyball. A lot of volleyball associations have different shirts that they get. They've kind of adopted away from the traditional white polo and gone to the blue or the gray. So
Mm.
there's different variations to that. So yeah, all the sport, wrestling too. Some states use like a basketball style shirt. Some states have like a custom shirt for high school for wrestling. But yeah, a lot of the major sports. I don't have a lot of stuff on there for the other football, for soccer right now, but like I said, this is a part-time, side gig for me right now, and so I can't quite do everything. So I've really tried to focus on football and basketball, volleyball, wrestling for right now. But yeah, anything that's like you said, to make you look good. I think it makes a huge impression with the coaches, and I am involved with the amateur league here in the summertime, and everybody, those that have not worked with me a lot, they'll always ask, "Hey, can I wear shorts?" And my response is always like, "Well, you can, but I would much rather prefer that you wear pants because I think it makes you look better." And if you've ever worked in amateur league, sometimes it can get a little wild, and I think just having that persona on the field and having that look makes a difference. So, um, yeah, it's just something that's been important to me, and like I said, just trying to find ways to help other officials that think it's important to them get what they need.
And so a couple weeks back, Michael had reached out to me via email and we touched base, and he was asking if I was up for supporting his business by supporting my show and back and forth. And I was like, absolutely. So Michael and I came up with a little plan. So right now, Whistle Talk is going to be, or I should say, RefShop.us is going to be the official sponsor here of Whistle Talk. And if you go to I'm going to pull it up right now, the RefShop website, and pull it up a couple times. Go to the RefShop.us website at checkout. Put in Talk 26, you get 10% off of the purchase. So I was all for this because again, not just for me personally, but because I'm doing this podcast because I want to try to help other officials and newer officials out there get started or continue going. I figured this is fantastic. This just marries up perfectly. So Michael, I appreciate you reaching out to me a couple weeks back. So definitely something I'm excited about right now.
Yeah, well, I've listened to the show. I've been a fan of the show and listening, and you got to cover a lot of different things, and you're kind of doing your thing, and like what I mentioned earlier, this is you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, but we're officials who are trying to help improve and move the game forward, right? Like if we don't, I feel like if we don't support each other, then we kind of have that head scratching moment of like, what am I really doing, right? If you're doing your show and you get 5 people that listen a week, you're gonna think, man, what am I doing, right? when
Yeah.
when you have to buy that new camera or you have to buy that new headset or whatever, and it's like, okay, it's fun, but all that, but that's gonna be more time than I'm spending with my family or doing whatever, and I think that's also important too. I think as officials, um, we really need to find ways to band together and work together and support each other. And this is to me, this is some of the ways that we can do that outside of working a game together. And we're halfway across the country, but we're like I said, talking football and again trying to help support each other with what we're trying to do to help move the game forward, which is extremely important to me. And when I started out, and I think back to 20 years ago, what it was like, and you had very little trainings or very little camps, and you see all the ways that it's accelerated. To me, this is just a part of that. Just trying to again, how can we make it better? How can we be better officials and ultimately make the game better?
Yeah, so I pulled up the Ref Shop website here again, refshop.us, and you'll see all the different things broken down: football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, wrestling, and then by state association. I see you got on here about 15 or so different state associations. So, but then you also have just the generic one. So if you don't have that specific state association, they're probably able to get patches and put onto that apparel as needed. So I mean, there's a ton of stuff in here. So this is great. And go on there, you can see a little bit about the shop. Okay, all the different things, the story. But I know everyone's more focused on here. So Michael, what's the must-haves of equipment, and what are you seeing a trend going towards with some of the newer equipment that's out there?
Yeah, I think there's definitely when it comes to uniforms, the for me, the body flex shirts are super popular right now with Smitty. And I've been a recent convert myself as opposed to going through with the regular poly shirts. And basically there's two reasons. One, that it's a lighter, kind of a stretchier fabric. There's no cuffs on the sleeves. It's just all like the fabric is hemmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot cooler, stretchier, much more comfortable fit. So that's been really popular. I think one of the other things, obviously with football is O2O, but I think with volleyball and other sports, you see it internationally, but also using radios. And I think when you really try to find ways to adopt them and use them effectively, you can really find a lot of great uses for it. And, I think there's going to continue to be growth with that. Like I said, working scrimmages and stuff last night here in the Sioux Falls area, we were talking about radio use and when do you use it and when don't you use it. So I think that's going to continue to expand and continue to grow amongst officials, especially at the high school level where maybe they haven't adopted that yet.
So for the varsity games in South Dakota, are you 5-man teams, 6-man,
Yep, crew of five. Yep,
crew of 5?
we've done some crew of seven for some of our higher,
Hmm.
like our Sioux Falls Metro Schools, some of the games. Um, we we've done some of that, some piloting and kind of seeing how it's going. I think there again too, as things continue to evolve as the game grows and everybody gets a little bit faster. There's definitely spots on the field that you can miss with you don't have those two deep wing officials. But yeah, in South Dakota, we're primarily crew of five.
What about sub varsity?
Yeah, it depends again, kind of on how the size of the school. Some do four, some will even go down to three, like for some of those lower level middle
Yep.
school games. It just kind of depends on where you're at, and just like anywhere else in the country, who's available, right?
Yep.
Can you find enough people to have a crew of four? Or
Well, we're typically a crew of 3. Some schools for the JV are going to a crew of 4, but predominantly we're a 3-man crew. And the reason I'm bringing this up, you were just talking about the O to O's. My daughter plays high school field hockey, and I'm not going to lie to you. Until a year and a half ago, I knew nothing about that sport. And here I am a year and a half later, and I know, well, a little more than I did because it's a sport that I don't understand. But one thing that I caught my eye is the officials. Now, in a high school varsity game, there's 2 officials here in New Jersey, and they had an ear pod in. And my first impression was like, what the heck? This person's listening to music or they're talking on their phone. And I found out later, no, they're in line. It's their headsets. They're in line with their official across the field because there's only 2 and they're playing on basically a full-sized football field. So it's their ways of communicating with each other. And I know there's been talks now. My daughter also plays lacrosse. My son plays football, baseball. But they've been talking about it in lacrosse, doing the same thing and having the headsets. And we don't wear our headsets too often in a 3-man game, but I think we should a little bit more because it's easier to keep the game flow going, like we've always talked about with the headsets. It's just something that I don't know. I'm just spitballing right now, but it was something that I was just thinking about.
Yeah, for sure. When you work other stuff, whether it's 7-on-7 or whatever, and you don't usually have a full crew of five, and you don't use it, or you're like, I won't need it this game, and then sure enough, you're about 5 plays into it, and then you like, oh, I gotta say this because I'm used to doing it or whatever, and then, oh, that's right, I don't have a radio. So when you get used to it, it just kind of becomes muscle memory and second nature, and then subsequently when you don't have it, it's like, oh, right, and exactly to your point, like there's usually something that you can communicate or you want to communicate
Hmm.
with your other officials, and when you're used to doing it and then you don't, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I guess we aren't going to talk about that right now.
Well, and I got to say, I converted last year to the big button, uh, the push talk button. Love it. So much easier than trying to find that little clip on button where to go and then the microphone getting knocked off and just having that right at the hip, right on the belt. I think that's probably one of the best things that we had. But I converted to what, and I've got the website here. I converted to this one here that's got the security style earphone, where previously I was wearing a boom style microphone with the old school. I would actually just push onto the Midland radio itself to communicate instead of using that. So the fact that you've got here a boom radio with the big button, I'm a little intrigued. I'm not going to lie. So the
Yeah.
decibel thing here, tell me a little bit more about that because the reason I don't like the security one is because it doesn't feel comfortable in the ear and falls out. Is this what the decibel moldable things are for?
100%. Yep. So that piece that you see of the like the clear piece that comes with that security style that comes off, and then the decibels is a moldable replacement for that. So it works kind of like a mouth guard. You put it in hot water for a few minutes so it gets kind of like a little bit of mushy. Put it in your ear, let it cool so it hardens. But then essentially you have a custom molded earpiece that fits your ear that you don't have to worry about falling out. You don't have to worry about it. It should be comfortable, right? Like if it should be fitted to your ear. But yeah, that's one of those kind of should go with every headset that you sell kind of thing. But yeah, pretty much anybody that has ever bought one will tell you that that's exactly the accessory that you need to make it even that much better. You don't have to worry about the earbud hurting your ear, and you don't have to worry about it falling out. So that's definitely. And then also on that, there's two different styles of that. There's the isolation is kind of more of like a straight earplug, so it's supposed to block out more sound. And then there's the awareness one, the green one, which actually has holes in it. So there's two different ones. So if you want to be able to hear more around you, you can go with the awareness style, or else you could go with the red ISO, which is again more of like a regular traditional earplug.
Yeah, I think me being an umpire in the middle of the field, I'd have to go with the awareness one. But if I was back on the sidelines or deep, I'd probably want to have that the moldable isolation one, so I didn't have to hear the coaches as much.
That's how you want to do it.
So I got on here. You got a new official bundle going on and a sale on that. It's great stuff. I mean, flags, whistles, the writing study guides, shoes and accessories. So I mean, guys and gals that are listening, you got to take a look over at the website because again, we're coming to that time where we're just dusting it off, pulling it out of the closet, pulling it out of a box maybe if you've had it stored somewhere. But this is the time that we need to start getting ready so that we can look professional. And once again, the site is refshop.us. And again, at checkout, talk 26 for a 10% discount off of that. So Michael, I know it's been a busy day for you and a busy week, so I don't want to really hold you up much longer. Nice short episode, but we definitely wanted to get the information out there about your shop and about everything that's going on there. So appreciate you coming on. Any last words you want to leave everybody with?
No, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to seeing what comes of it, and looking forward to some more episodes to get ready for the season.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, Michael. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.